Today on YesterKitchen, we're going to 1961 to discover a fabulous version of oyster stew and find out why it's so popular during Christmas. You're gonna love it. Let's get started. Hey everyone, I'm Jill and this is YesterKitchen. Part food history, part cooking, all delicious. Thank you so much for being here. I have a special shout out before I start anything else today. June, I know you're out there. So one day June emailed me and she said, I always see this trivet, and she's talking about this one. And she said, what you really need since you do retro is some crochet trivets. And I just got them in the mail. I have to share with you. These are glorious. So take a look at these. She sent me 4. So June, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I love these. So I guess we're not going to be seeing this one anymore, so you guys are going to start to see these coming right up. So today we're making a fabulous variation on oyster stew called New York Oyster Stew. It is just, it's just the tiniest bit different, but it makes all the difference in the world. So the earliest documented recipe for oyster stew was 1742, but people have been eating it long before that. It's simply, from the very beginning, milk, butter, pepper, and oysters. Just simple, clean, and fantastic. So the story goes that during 1845 to 1852, the Irish immigrants were coming into America. They were coming to escape the Great Potato Famine that was going on in Ireland, and they wanted a better life here in America. This was a very, very Catholic group, and with them, they brought their traditions and their recipes. So they did not eat meat the night before Christmas. And they had a very traditional dish. It involved milk, butter, pepper, and a dried fish called ling. Well, when they came to America, there was no dried ling to be found. So they discovered oysters, and actually they said that oysters were a perfect substitute. So they started making their oyster stew on Christmas Eve. And of course, people are like, hey, what you making? And they tried it, and they loved it, and it kind of exploded. Now, of course, oyster stew is eaten all year long, but it's very special in Christmas. So this recipe comes to us from 2 places. I originally discovered it from our friend Amy Vanderbilt. Do you remember Amy Vanderbilt? If not, there is all about her and her fabulous life and her fabulous recipes. And of course, all my future Amy Vanderbilt things I'm going to do for you. So in the book, Amy has a very classic recipe for oyster stew. But underneath the recipe, in this tiny little paragraph, she says, oh, there's a New York version of oyster stew. So I did a little bit of research and came to find out it comes from the Grand Central Oyster Bar. Take a look. This place is gorgeous. It's in Grand Central Station. It's been open since 1913 and it's still going strong. It's just, just look at it. It's just breathtaking. So their version of oyster stew came around the mid to late 50s, and it's just the tiniest tweaks, but it is so fabulous, and I'm going to teach it to you right now. So the first thing we do is have our pot on a low heat. And to that, I'm going to start melting 3 tablespoons of butter, 1.5 teaspoons of Worcestershire. That's the little difference. 3/4 teaspoon of celery salt, 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. You can go a little more if you like. And 1/2 teaspoon of paprika. And then you're just going to kind of get that going until it's melted. Now this recipe goes pretty fast, but before I do anything else, I want to really talk about the whole don't eat oysters in a month ending in R kind of thing, right? So the months that you can eat oysters in are September, October, November, December, right? Those are our R months. Well, it's true, but it's old. So the R stands for red tide. And take a look at it. It is gorgeous, but it's not very healthy. So red tide is an algae, and it can be toxic, and it tends to bloom in the summer. So in the winter, it's dormant. So if you're hand harvesting oysters, which I know a lot of you aren't doing out there, if you hand harvest them during the summer, then you have a chance of getting toxins. But all the oysters right now are farmed, and they're totally safe, and we can enjoy them year round. So that's the story behind the R months. Okay, back to our pan. So our butter and all of our seasonings are melted. Now here's another different variation. This is, besides the Worcestershire, besides the paprika, besides the celery salt, we're gonna add 1.5 cups of clam juice. And you can just buy them right in the bottles, right from the market. And you're gonna heat that up a little bit. And then we're gonna add our oysters. I have 8 ounces, half a pint of oysters. These guys I actually bought in the jar because for some reason there's a run on oysters and I couldn't find any fresh. So you can either shuck your own, have someone shuck them for you, or buy them in the jar. If you buy them in the jar, it's probably 2 jars is gonna equal what we need. I've got about 10 oysters here. You do want them drained. You don't have to have them perfectly drained because every time you drain them, more liquor, it's called liquor, comes up. So just drain them as best you can. But if there's a little left, don't even worry about it. Okay, so to our clam juice, we're gonna add our oysters. And you're gonna cook these for maybe about 3, 4, 5 minutes. It all depends what you're looking for. As you're looking for your oyster, the little edges to start curling. So we'll be right back when that's happening. Okay, so take a look. Here's what I mean by the edges are curling. See? Oh, get this guy really close for you. See, the little edges are just starting to curl a little bit right in there. And that's what you want. And by the way, if you love oysters as much as I love oysters, I had another episode featuring oysters that was actually considered the very first dish defining California cuisine from the Gold Rush era, and it actually got me in the newspaper. So if you're interested in that one, take a look right there. It's one of my favorites. I'm pretty proud of it. Okay, so now we're gonna go back to our stew. So now our edges are curling and everything is warm. Now we're gonna go back to the cream. This is not a health conscious dish, but it's fabulous. So I have 1 cup of whole milk, in it goes, and 1 cup of cream. And instead of doing this, you can do 1.5 cups of half and half because half and half is half cream, half milk. But I just wanted to do it this way. Okay, and then we're just gonna kind of stir it very gently until it's warm. And when it's warm, we're done. Okay, so it's been about 3 or 4 minutes. Keep your fire on low, keep stirring it, keep babysitting it. You don't want your milk to boil. So that's why you're just kind of just getting to the warm stage, which is where it is now. And look at our gorgeous oyster stew. See how fast that was? And oh, so good. You're having a dinner party, make this an appetizer. It's perfect. So now all that's left to do is turn off our fire and serve some up. I have this really, really pretty retro looking bowl. That's good. And of course, you gotta put it on a retro plate. Now if you want, you can serve it as is. You can sprinkle a little parsley on top. And since there's paprika in it, you can even put a little bit on top. And that's it. Classic oyster stew with a New York twist. And I think I'm gonna have some very soon. If you would like to explore more dishes from your childhood or just the past, I invite you to subscribe. I release new videos every Friday. In the meantime, here's some more retro dishes for you. And remember, every dish, even oyster stew or New York's version, has a story. I'll see you in the next video.